Yo, 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 what is up, Twitter world? Hope everybody's having an amazing day. Back with my buddy Gambler and Fur Loco, who we haven't had on, been missing for a few weeks here. First off, Fur Loco, how you doing, brother?
It's good, man. I'm so happy to be back, and it looks like things are starting to get kind of like spicy here in the market. So I think it's a good time to be back and start to kind of like if you haven't really been invested in the market. For those of you in the audience, I think we're gonna have some opportunities over the next few weeks here, depending on what happens in the Middle East. But I'm happy to be back with you guys and chop it up as always.
Hell yeah. And then we got Gambler, of course, which has been a great addition to the stream here with me the last few weeks. Back with much better lighting this time. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, Bren. Good to be here. Happy Friday to everybody. Prayers go out to all the victims, of course, yesterday from the crash, the plane crash that happened earlier in the day, and then, of course, all the controversy going on in the Middle East. So sending love to our people out there. But feeling good. Happy Friday. Glad to be back on stream.
Hell yeah. Yeah, crazy, insane past few days. Obviously, with what's going on with Israel, Iran, plane crash. We'll be going over that. Bitcoin obviously coming down hard from the chaos of the last few days. Are we bottoming out, or is this the start of a bigger top? We'll be talking about that. Obviously, the Genius Stablecoin Act or the Genius Act passed the Senate vote yesterday, coming close to a final vote. A lot of people are calling this like stablecoin summer because of what stablecoins will allow with tokenization. We'll be talking about all about that. But if you guys are in here, new to the stream, it's been in here for a while. If you guys could please like, retweet, comment on the stream so we can push this out to more people, be much appreciated. But yeah, in the chat, I'm seeing all you guys' thoughts on Israel and Iran situation, how will affect the markets. We'll be talking about that, like I said. What's up, Juicy? What's up, Still Tripping? What's up, Rojam? But yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. Bitcoin coming down hard off of probably right around the time, what was this last night? About 24 hours ago, it was already starting to come down around the time where there was. When did the news start bubbling up around the Iran strike? I'm sorry, the Israel strike on Iran. Was it yesterday or the day before?
I saw it yesterday afternoon.
Okay. So yeah, I think just right around the time there was news bubbling about some kind of strike, and then it happened. Market came down hard. This reminds me of a lot of last year. I think it was around here, maybe late last year. The same kind of thing happened where the market came down hard around Israel. I don't know if it was a strike, but something with Israel and Iran, and then quickly rebounded. I think that's what's going to happen here. Frankly, I think what we're seeing here after this final dip is going to be very likely the bottom of this correction. Maybe a bit of chop over the weekend would be, even more ideal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see this unless again we just see something else happen today and just crush right through 101, 100. I think we're very likely going to chop here and move up over the next few weeks. Same thing with the rest of the majors. I mean, what are your thoughts on the past few days for Loco and
Yeah,
what?
yeah. Look, again, I think it's unfortunate that this is happening, of course, and it's very sad to see what happened with the plane Air India crash. To be honest, but when it comes to the market, if you look past the last 3 to 4 years, whether it was the Ukraine war, I think that broke up in 2022, or the escalation that we had in 2023 and even in 2024 with the Middle East, and even now, when you look back in history, or I guess when these escalations or headlines happen, it was always a good time to buy. So my thoughts is I'm not sure this is all over yet. And again, when something is too obvious, sometimes they make it painful. But weekends are normally not a good time to buy when escalations happen, because for some reason I have a note here on my desk that for some reason always strikes and stuff happens during Saturdays, because whether it's there's insiders or whoever is involved in this, there's always ultimate ultimate kind of like conflicts of interest, right? So either it's a Saturday or Sunday. Something's gonna happen. Hopefully, it's not too bad. But I wouldn't buy big just yet. What I'm thinking is, as you mentioned, there might be a little bit more of a chop in the next few days, and then maybe next week, whether there's some sort of like they come to the table and they discuss some sort of like a peace deal or whatever. We'll figure it out. I'm so far being cautious. I'm not scared, and I'm kind of like waiting to pull the trigger when the time is right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think ultimately, especially if you're buying spot Bitcoin, meme coins, whatever, these are just another opportunity to add. I put out this tweet yesterday. I think honestly, eventually we just seen such a chaos filled last few months. Eventually there's going to come a time where there isn't like something chaotic happening every week. So again, I just see these opportunities or these pullbacks, especially, stuff like this. We've seen Israel and Iran conflict over, especially over the last few years. I don't see this as something like detrimental that's going to create a long-term top, both just fundamentally and on the charts. So I think these are just buying opportunities. We're seeing a lot of the memes and a lot of stuff pulling back. We'll go over a lot of those here shortly, but yeah, I think, like first said, if you're more of conservative, you might wait for more confirmations. But if you're accumulating Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, high conviction meme coins that have been around for a bit, I think these are great opportunities to buy and probably some of the final opportunities to buy before I think things really pick up here. So, um,
And it's also not really exciting to sit on cash, right? Like obviously you want to have some dry powder to invest, but with the US dollar going down, like Dixie, keeps going down and lower and breaking previous levels. It doesn't really make you a good favor to really have a lot of cash sitting around. So you want to be invested in the market, perhaps not 100%, because you want to find opportunities like this one to accumulate and get better entries. But at the same time, don't go full conservative, right? Because sitting in cash actually is not helping you either. And I think eventually, whether it's inflation and other geopolitical risks, this is going to end up, just inflating assets even more. So I think after this, we'll probably, hopefully, I'm thinking that Bitcoin will hit an all-time highs. That's my bet, but we'll see.
yeah, me too. I think Bitcoin will very likely see all time highs by the end of the year. And if we pick up here, I'm not even all time highs. I think we'll probably see 130 to 150K by the end of the year. But who knows? Things could pick up even faster. But yeah, I'd like to see some chop on Bitcoin over the weekend to really solidify that it's not going to break through this low. But I think chances are, whether it be some kind of peace deal or just the hype and the fear dies off, I think we move up higher soon. Same thing with Sol. I think Sol's an even nicer setup here with this nice corrective channel that it's been forming since May 14th. So much of the same for Sol. I think it's either bottomed out. Some nice chop here in the bottom would really be nice, but I think we move up here pretty soon. Now, Gambler, I didn't mean to mute. I muted you because I think there was some feedback. I think you gotta mute yourself. Have you been buying anything this week? I think we talked last week. You said you got some more exposure to that hypeo. You've been adding to your meme bag, just sitting on your hands. What's been good with you?
Yeah, just kind of hanging out. The market, I'm kind of comfortable with the bags I'm holding, and not really too eager to throw any more dry powder in just yet. This dip, I think, is a decent opportunity. If anybody's sidelined or not in, to kind of take advantage. But yeah, to Furl's point, this dip isn't much either, right? We were at like 108, 109. We're at 105 now. We went down to like 101, which maybe might spook. I know it liquidated a lot of people, but if you were in spot, we're back at 105, and it's looking good. Also, Bitcoin tends to react better to news, global catastrophe or dramatic news like this than most other assets. Um, and again, to Furl's point as well, if you look at, there's a tweet from Crypto Espresso from the TDA that I was looking at a second ago, and he highlighted the short-term reactions to wars over the last few years, and it's overwhelmingly green after 1 week and 1 month of after this news has come out, whatever it is, whether it was during the Russia Kharkiv offensive or the Ukraine Kursk offensive or Israel in 2025 in March. And then just in June 6th, I guess there was something Operation Spiderweb. So um, I'm comfortable with where I'm at. I think it's a good opportunity for people who are sidelined to kind of accumulate more if they feel like it's a good time. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just kind of chilling, watching the market, waiting to see us either break up or break down, and then kind of I'll make my move from there.
Yeah, no, and if you find that tweet, I'm trying to find a crypto espresso. There's a few of them on there, um, but yeah, no, I've noticed much of the same. Like, that's why I was using that example with the Israel-Iran conflict last time. Unless it's something completely out of nowhere, that's you even saw. You remember when the original Israel Palestine thing happened with the festival? All the events
Hamas,
happening on
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
That even was pretty quickly recovered too, right? What month was that in?
It might have been a year ago,
Like,
actually. I think it was the during the festival. I think it was the Hamas air whatever airstrike. When it wasn't an airstrike, they kind of like parachuted right from
yeah,
something crazy.
was that you're saying that was like last June or last summer, right?
I want to say it was either around the summer or before the summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, if I remember, I think that was the same one that we're probably that I was referring to, maybe. But
Yeah.
even that one was quickly recovered from. I mean, unless it's some kind of you know huge war, some kind of huge attack, um, like Gambler said, most of the time it's quickly recovered, and they act as times of great buying opportunities. So, Cloudy Ledger asks, do you think that this situation will be very similar to the start of the Ukraine versus Russia? Oil skyrockets, and we'll see oil futures rise.
Yeah.
Do you think this will cause more inflation? For Loco, what do you think about that?
I'm not super concerned about inflation, to be honest. And honestly, again, I have a different opinion on energy because I my background is in energy, and what I can tell you is short term. I think actually oil prices being higher is better for the U.S. economy. Inflation as consumer prices for gas, gas prices. I understand that as a concern, but overall, the U.S. economy is doing well. So I'm not saying this is a negative. Crude always goes up during tension, especially in the Middle East, because they have this Strait of Hormuz, I think it's called, which is the part that pretty much connects the Middle East and all the oil producing countries to the ocean, right? So if that is controlled by Iran, then oil prices are going to be pretty much impacted by it in a different way. But outside of that, I wanted to make a point, I guess. What was the question again? Is current oil futures, you think, inflation wise? Yeah, even if it does, I think it's going to be a temporary, so not too concerned about it. But I wanted to kind of like continue the point that Gambler was making around Bitcoin not reacting to the news, and it's 100% true. We've seen that with the institutions being involved in Bitcoin, it's been more and more uncorrelated to risk assets. Obviously, we know when there's a conflict like this, gold always goes up, and gold was up today significantly in the last few days. But even Bitcoin hasn't really retraced as much, which it goes to tell you that people are starting to use Bitcoin as an asset to really sort of value and a source of confidence, in a way to keep your wealth, right? And the fact that institutions are involved in it even gives you more confidence, right? Because then the asset is not going down 30 to 40%. It's really just moving like 15-20% maximum, and in some cases even less than that. So I'm very bullish on Bitcoin in this situation. Particularly, I think it's going to turn out to be a buying opportunity. And then when it comes to inflation, not too worried.
Yeah,
Right
and
on.
on that note too, I sent you two links right now in our TG chat, Brand. One of them, the first one is Espresso's tweet, which is highlighting the short term green reactions to in terms of Bitcoin to dramatic news like this, and then the more recent one I just sent, it's in our TG. Yeah, that exactly. And then the other one I sent is a chart that shows that Bitcoin actually responds better to geopolitical events than gold and stocks on both 10 and 60-day time frames. Which is just like, how bullish is that, right? Because it's like now we have Bitcoin goes up when we're risk on, and now it goes up when we're trending towards risk off. So people would, at least according to this data, there are a considerable amount of people and liquid that would rather hold Bitcoin than gold and stocks during times like this. So I think that's incredibly bullish. It's almost we're getting added liquidity on both sides of the spectrum, um,
Yeah.
which is just great to see.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And I think right now it's a kind of a hybrid asset where it's a low enough market cap where it's going to go up when stuff is risk on, just like you said. But then now we're starting to see it, in times of kind of risk off or chaos or these fear type events, kind of going off, being that store of value or counterparty asset as well, which is extremely fucking bullish. So I think we're in that sweet spot period time where over the next few years, Bitcoin and crypto and stuff is still new enough where it has a ton of fucking upside, but it's kind of solidified where governments are getting ready to buy, already are. Regulatory clarity is coming. So I think now's more better time than ever to be focused in crypto and be buying great assets. Excited to go over some of the memes I'm looking at right now or in a bit here, but no, that's incredibly bullish. Looking more at that tweet from Espresso. Shout out to him. Shoot him a follow. But this, yeah, looks like the Russia offensive in 2024. After the first week, Bitcoin up 2%. Ukraine, same kind of thing. The only one that it was few of them that were bearish. It was only a few percent. And then, yeah, pretty much the same thing after every one of these um, offensives or things. It's all of them same outcome within a month, all positive. So
Yeah.
interesting to see though. All of them after was just only 5 or 6% within a month. So a lot of them, I think, created consolidation on the charts as well. But yeah, I think the same kind of thing is going to happen here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, look, I just wanted to highlight that before this conflict, it was probably one of the most bullish weeks we've had in a long time, right? I mean, you see Coinbase starting perp trading in the US. That's massive, right? Now you don't have to use VPNs or live in another country to trade futures or and perps in the US. And then the fact that Shopify with almost 900 million users is going to utilize stable coins, right? So, and I think there was a question from one of the audience members that it says, how do you make money with stable coins? So yeah, how can you make money? There's a lot of protocols that are going to be offering, I don't know if double digit, but like high single digit yield. And Wall Street is going to go crazy around this. I mean, if you guys seen the Circle IPO, that thing went from $30 to 140, 150. I don't know. It did like something like 3 to 4x in less than a week. So you're really starting to see, and I think Brent, you and I and Max discussed this many, many months ago, that stable coins we're going to continue growing, and the market cap is exploding. So once this, conflict news and this war hopefully dissipates, we're going to just like go straight up when it comes down to adoption and price appreciation across assets, right? Like it's just kind of like a little bit of a roadblock in the roadmap, but everything looks very very good. So if you can erase the noise a little bit, this will turn out to be a good time to buy, and we're still in a very positive environment when it comes to the economy and crypto. So
Absolutely. And to your point, Leo Lanza, who this guy's great. I don't know if he just started making content recently. I remember seeing him at like 1,000 followers, 1,500, maybe like a month ago. But definitely check out what this guy's got going on. He's a super bullish on Ethereum and breaking down kind of a lot of the vision that Max talks about, but a lot on the more technical side where Ethereum. Um, a lot about Ethereum and how it's set up to get all of this TradFi capital and it kind of just a lot of the stuff I'm saying where Ethereum is going to be the biggest winner from all this regulatory clarity coming. He put out a post today talking about the Genius Act is scheduled for the final vote on Tuesday, 6/17. Once it passes, stablecoins on Ethereum are going to go parabolic. So the next phase of the tokenized economy. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people are echoing this, that what's going to happen with stablecoins, and I think what a lot of the Genius Act does is allows for these big institutions and entities to implement stablecoins, like banks, like correct, for Loco?
Yes, correct. I mean, at the end of the day, you wanna. We had the trend of Bitcoin treasury companies, and then I think we had a few of Ethereum. Hopefully, that takes off. But the stable coins is a no brainer, right? Because you're bringing like pretty much a new set of investors to crypto instantly, right? And I think that's one of the major roadblocks we had with the Operation 2.0, choke point, or whatever from the previous administration is not really regulating stablecoins. A lot of companies were waiting to really launch their products and their platforms around stablecoins because they had uncertainty around it. But now I think it's just a massive amount of capital is going to flow into crypto. And Wall Street investors love yield, as I was mentioning. So even if it's like 4 to 5 to 6% by holding USDC, that already immediately gives you direct access to buying crypto. So just super bullish on stablecoin. I've been bullish all year, but I think this is going to further catapult the adoption of crypto and hopefully our backs as well. So yeah.
Hell yeah. No, and I see this today too. Walmart and Amazon are exploring launching their own stable coins. I think regulatory clarity and what a lot of people aren't realizing is that the regulatory clarity, like it sounds great and all, but what it's going to allow and what it's going to allow is for founders, whether it be Amazon or founders of NFT projects or any Web3 founders to do a lot of stuff that maybe they were scared of doing in the past. Regulatory clarity, the biggest thing is it's going to allow good actors to try really cool shit with crypto, right? And as you see here, we're already, as they come out with the Genius Stable Bill, which you'd imagine these companies have probably been in the works with this stuff for a while. Just as the Stablecoin Act, the Genius Act is, looking like it's going to pass. You see Walmart and Amazon exploring launching their stablecoins, which would just be huge. It's just, I think it's the first kind of step for the mass adoption of tokenization. You're going to see stablecoins, and I think what it's going to push, and I want to hear what you guys think about this, but I think what stablecoins are going to do is make like the adoption of like digital wallets in general, just like super common. And I think that's the first step, right? Like people feel comfortable holding stable coins in their digital wallet, and then comes NFTs and meme coins and all that. So what are your thoughts on Walmart and Amazon, and just what we talked about the last few minutes, Gambler?
Walmart and Amazon, I'd be interested to see what their goal is with that and how it plays out. Like putting user liquid on chain for what, I guess then you could do like what Shopify did, I guess, and then you could make it so that they could spend their Walmart stable currency on your website, which would make sense. I think I'm bullish on stable coins in general. I think it's kind of taken this last 6 months to a year for it to really click for me. I think they operate as kind of like a Trojan horse for like crypto adoption. To Loco's point, right? Like the big money loves yield, and it's safe yield, and every day we're getting more and more opportunities and ways for people to park their cash in stable coins that are less risk averse and farm yield. And then at the same time, to your point, Brent, we're getting more liquid on chain. More liquid on chain is good, right? I mean, that's in any sense, more liquid on chain is good. And we're moving closer to that future where, everything is tokenized. And again, that just creates less friction, which is what we talk about all the time, right? Less friction for people to buy our bags if that's something that you're interested in, right? But overall, the overall adoption, it steps towards that. So bullish.
Yeah, for 100%. And to your point, I think the whole use case with stable coins generally is it just makes things more seamless instead of having to go through like credit card transactions and processors and all the friction that creates. I think stable coins just allow anybody in the world um, to use it. So I think that's the goal with the Amazon stable coins is and Walmart as well. And I'm sure there is some kind of yield for them and all that as well in some
Yeah.
sense that they could profit from it. But I think the biggest thing in stable coins in general is it just makes it more seamless, and I'm sure they'd be able to serve more people than maybe people who don't have credit cards or all that debit cards, all that. So
Yeah,
uh,
well, think about it. All these companies have credit cards or some sort of form of like cashback incentives, right? So if you're a massive company like Amazon or Walmart or even like a bank, you're gonna want to have your own stablecoin protocol, right? Because why would you share the pie with someone else if you already have a massive amount of customers that are willing to use your products and platform? So I think it's going to happen more and more. And again, Circle USDC, since it's a pioneer, I think is going to perform excellent. But I'm going to bet the horse here that most of the companies, whether it's RWA or stablecoins, they will have their own platform so that they don't have to, again, split the fees and the share with someone else, right? And I think this is going to be a turning point. I know someone mentioned that Visa and Mastercard fell 5% on the news of stablecoins. And look, I think that's just most of the market when it comes to traditional market. I don't think they understand stablecoins yet. But I think it's going to turn out to be a positive headline at the end of the day. So I'm not too concerned about those stocks going down on the news. I think there was a question around that. So yeah, I do foresee Amazon and Walmart having their own stablecoin platform, and of course, cashback, whether it's with Bitcoin. I think it was a company. Who was the company? Was it like that offered 4% back on purchases? What was the headline? You guys remember? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, Coinbase.
Coinbase, right?
Coinbase.
Yeah.
Where they partner American Express, is it? I think.
Yes, Amex, right? So that's going to be massive for sure. Yeah.
yeah, it's huge. And I think again, like I was touching on a second ago, I think the whole point of the stable coins, that kind of this guy reiterates, is to cut the card fees and like bypass banks. Because I'm sure there's a lot of high percentage of fees that they have to give to the credit card processors, all of that. I think just like any of these tokens or any of blockchain technology, it just makes things easier and kind of cuts out the middleman.
Yeah.
But great. I do want to get to the chat before we move on. Do we need Bitcoin dominance to fall before alt season? So I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. So nothing needs to happen, right? I think that's what a lot of people kind of make the mistake of happening is they assume in their brain that in order for this to happen, in order for alts to go up, Bitcoin dominance needs to fall. While that happens a lot of times, it doesn't need to happen, right? I think Bitcoin dominance could continue to go up, the overall dominance of Bitcoin over on the overall market, but the overall pie of crypto could grow in that time where alts, memes, all that stuff can still go up like crazy, right? Like real quickly, I remember we saw last summer Bitcoin dominance was going up like crazy, but we still saw SPX, Giga, Mog, a lot of those meme coins also go up at the same time. So, do I think that we'll see a Bitcoin dominance kind of pullback where we get like an everything alt season? Probably stand, but I don't think that's necessary. I think overall, the overall crypto pie is going to grow. Does Bitcoin dominance go up at the same time? It's possible. But I think overall, ETH, Bitcoin, Sol, a lot of the great memes, gaming coins, a lot of stuff's going to go up. But Circle, to touch on your point real quickly for Loco, yeah, Circle obviously just crazy out the gate, pulled back here for about 4 or 5 days, and then now just hitting all time highs again or close. So, I think this is probably going to, start a domino effect of other crypto IPOs. Somebody asked in the audience for Loco that if there are any other crypto IPOs on the horizon. Is there any that you've seen or any that you speculate will happen soon?
Well, we know that the Solana ETF was approved, right? So that's going to be massive, and there's a bunch of companies investing for Solana Treasury as the news came out. So when it comes to stable coins, I'm not sure. But I do track a bunch of Bitcoin treasury companies, which is happening really kind of like the reverse merger or SPAC model, where you kind of like revive zombie dead companies and and infuse them with a Bitcoin treasury strategy, and then immediately raise 500 million overnight. We've seen a bunch of those happen, so I don't foresee that trade to be crowded yet, but I think it will get crowded pretty soon. But other than that, no, I haven't really seen any other companies kind of like launching a stable coin, kind of like IPO yet, but probably
Yeah.
happen soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine we see a bunch of crypto, maybe exchanges. A lot of people have speculated, what was it, crypto.com or one of the other big exchanges will be next. I'm sure we'll see a ton of them, probably IPO, and then who knows what's next. But kind of coincidence, Israel waits to strike until the day before the US has their first military parade. If today is noise and not long term news, where are we looking to enter and what sectors will have nice reversals? Great question, Primo. So for me, I just where are we looking to enter? So, like I was saying at the top of the show, brother, it's possible that we chop here, even move a little bit lower. Where hold on, move a little bit lower here on Bitcoin. But generally, I see. Oh, oops. Okay, we're on the right tab. Generally, I see these times, just like we showed you earlier, every other time there's been a big crisis, military crisis, whether it be in Israel, Ukraine, and Russia, they act as kind of last final dips before large moves up. And I think that's the same thing that's going to happen here. So, to answer your question, where do we enter? I think the best strategy is always the DCA, with the understanding that we could head a little bit lower, we could chop for a while. But that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding to my same. I'm converting a lot of stables here to Sol and ETH, and then adding to the same memes and alts, which we'll go over here in a second, man. But to answer your first question, where should we be entering? I think the best time the best thing to do is really just DCA and not really worry what's happening on that day, and just take advantage of these opportunities because even if it moved a little bit lower, I don't think it's much. I don't think this is going to create a longer term top. And then you said what sectors are going to go up. I think crypto is going to have an overall bullish sector or a bullish kind of run in general. I think memes are going to do well, but at the same time, I think we're going to see a lot of the older alt L1s, a lot of the older DeFi stuff with all this regulatory clarity stuff happening. I think a lot of stuff's going to run at once. So obviously a lot of the strong memes. I think gaming stuff's going to start bubbling up soon, but yeah, I think a lot of sectors going to run, man. You got to kind of find the few that and learn as much as you can about them. For me, a lot of those cult memes, and then I've been adding a lot to AVAX, which I think is going to go crazy. And where is it? Uh, did I have it here up here still? Avalanche, I think, is one that's going to go crazy here soon. But yeah, I think just add to whatever you have conviction in. I think a lot of stuff's going to do well. But yeah, hope that answers your question. Visa and Mastercard has had a 5% sell off today after rumors they were interested in creating their own stablecoins. I think we already answered that, but yeah, no, I think it's just like kind of an overreaction. A lot of uncertainty around stablecoins, right? They're kind of a newer technology, but I think just like Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, I think this is probably a good opportunity to buy the companies that came down. Can't Stop Me Now says maybe that's why Walmart makes you use their app. Yeah. Um, but yeah, what else is going on this week? I had a few other things bookmarked, but yeah, the 100. Let's see. But yeah, I think generally, I think we're probably going to chop here over the weekend, and then I think probably head higher next week. SPX 6900 going nuts past few days. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to memes. For Loco, I know you've been out for a minute, kind of traveling. As far as memes go, you've been adding to anything? Fartcoin?
Yeah, so Farcoin was my largest bag. I think I mentioned a few times. I bought it around like 350 million and then around 500 million, and then I haven't really touched it. So that's been my biggest win so far since I guess the collapse in the markets in March April timeframe. But other than that, I've been monitoring SPX, and I know you guys are are really into it. I haven't really found an entry yet, but it's doing fantastic over there. The other one I've been meaning to buy, especially as they also open this new Jupiter bridge, is Rect Coin,
Mm.
which is trading on Ethereum as well. Those are the major memes I've been looking at, to be honest. Other than that, Hyperliquid has been my other big bet. I think you, me, and Max were buying at 18, which is not close to the $8 bottom that we kind of like saw in March timeframe, but it's been 2x so far, close to a 2.5x. So those are my biggest bets so far, aside from Bitcoin.
Beautiful. Yeah, we were talking a lot about Rect Guy last week and kind of meme coin NFTs and then kind of meme NFT coins, like kind of which ones uh, are better and which ones are kind of have like a end up performing better. But it's crazy to see Rect Guy, who you don't really even think of as like a NFT coin, kind of taken on a life of its own, kind of in its own lane here with producing the Rect drinks, which I don't know if you guys saw today for like a few hours ago.
Mhm.
They're the rec drinks are going to be in 7-Eleven. I don't know how many. I think at first it's saying some of them in LA will hit the shelves of the largest convenience store. I saw
Yeah, I
somewhere.
think this is an LA thing for now, but it's still a big, it's a pretty big update, so it's good.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. The fact that they're able to get them in, and get the attention of 7-Eleven, even if it's only a few stores, is amazing. And I think, I think this is the future. I think, you know, just tokens. Obviously, Rect Guy has been an NFT project for a while and is super multifaceted. The art is great. They have that going for them, and then they have great, operators and founders, and then now they have a physical product, right? And I think this is what we're going to see a lot around brands. That a lot of them are going to start as drinks, and then they're going to tokenize.
Yeah.
You're going to see tokens, like existing token communities, meme coins, transform into these brands that have physical products. We're going to see a lot of stuff in between. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's amazing, and shout out to them, shout out to Mondo and to OSF, and yeah, I think crazy to see. Sorry, let me put on my do not disturb. Crazy to see Rect at 157 million, still pretty underhyped, and I think has a lot higher to go, especially if they keep making noise in the physical
Yeah.
product. So,
I think the token per se is just like well structured, right? Because they own like close to 40%, which a lot of people are concerned about. But I to be honest, the way they're marketing that, I think is pretty smart because they do have rewards for buyers of this drinks, right? So then you're immediately onboarding them to crypto, and then they have this supply control where not a lot of holders sell, right? Because most of them got airdrop with their NFTs, and then they also have lived through 90% drawdowns, like the one we saw a few months ago. So you have a pretty strong set of core believers. And then if the company starts to produce revenue, I think it's going to be massive. The one token I wanted to talk about, and I know we don't have Max today, but it's Pengu, which is, they also had a massive announcement that are partnering with Lufthansa, the airline. I think it's from Germany, to give holders rewards or mile rewards when they buy on the Pudgy Penguin store, I believe. So they can start earning miles to travel. I believe that is, but the token itself hasn't really reacted that positively. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or if you have any Pengu, but I would definitely love to hear it.
yeah, bought a lot of Pengu down on the way down. I held my original airdrop that I got for being in a few different communities, for holding a few different NFTs, and then added a bunch on the way down. To me, yeah, I saw the airdrop, or I'm sorry, the airline thing today. I think it's a one of many kind of partnerships they're making. I don't know how big. I wouldn't know how much I'd expect like an airline thing to kind of move the needle, but generally, I think Pengu's kind of coiling up here for another move up once Bitcoin and the majors are done moving down. I think it looks great. I love how usually these big airdrops you almost always see a huge fucking washout within a few weeks, and I think it's really bullish that this happened for Pengu while the whole overall market was coming down, right? I think that was a kind of a blessing in disguise for them because when people get dropped, especially with how big the Pengu airdrop was, a lot of people got just for having a big pudgy, like a pudgy. getting 80, like $100,000, I think, towards the top dropped for free money. Whenever that happens, especially with people who have multiple pudgies, most of the time you're going to get a big sell off. So we got that big sell off, a big move off of those lows. I think Pengu is just coiling up, waiting for the overall, Bitcoin majors market to kind of to stop correcting, and then I think we're going to head higher. I think Pengu goes to all time highs. I really like the vision that Luca has for social currencies, where kind of like I was talking about here a few seconds ago, where coins can start out as meme coins and kind of crypto native communities and then transform into full on brands, right? Whether it be physical products with drinks, or you see Giga already has a Giga Fitness, to kind of, social currencies, these ideas that Luca has, is that it's kind of the next evolution of meme coins, where we go from being meme coins to full on kind of brands, with the currency kind of being in the middle of everything. And I think Pudgies are going to kind of pioneer that. And I'm just super bullish on everything they got going on, mostly because of Luca. And I'm just super bullish on great operators. And yeah, I think Pudgy Penguins eventually makes a new all time high over the next few years. So I'm going to continue to buy. And yeah,
I think if they introduce buybacks like Hyperliquid or Rect, I think that would be very bullish for the token. So at the end of the day, it's most of these tokens move on news and speculation more than they move on fundamentals, right? And I know some of the Rect holders also have equity in the company somehow, but I don't think the token is tied to the equity. I think it's just a speculation token from my perspective. So I'd love to see Luca also implementing some buybacks, because when you look at the market cap, I think it's what 600 million versus 150 for Rect. So there's a obviously the Pudgy Penguin brand is bigger than Rect, but I don't know. Looking at the charts, which one would you guys bet on more for the next 3 to 6 months? Would you guys bet more on Pudgy, on Pengu, or on Rect?
Gamble, you want to take that first?
Well, I was just gonna say I didn't know, but it makes sense. I just hadn't really looked into it. I didn't know that the rec team held 40% of the supply.
Yeah.
That's really bullish, and especially in those guys' hands. Like they have some of the best reputations in crypto, OSF Mondo and Rectu, and track records as well of just being good operators, making good decisions, putting their holders first. Uh, so to know that they hold 40% actually makes that market cap a little bit more than cut in half, right? So instead of being at 160, it's a little bit more than 80. Still under 100 million, I think, if you're counting the circulating supply. Um, so I like Rect, and Rect. Yeah, I like Rect. I like Rect at the price. I like Rect with the obviously Pengu's going to do fine, but until Pengu implements something more to stimulate the price beyond just building out the IP, which we're all bullish on anyway. I think I agree with Furloco. I think Rect Guy looks good here, especially hearing that 40% is being
Yeah,
held by the team.
go to the holders tab, Brent, and I think it's closer to 40%. On Dex Screener, there's a tab. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
38%. So yeah, that's the
Wow.
marketing wallet, and they use it for rewards back to buyers of their drinks and then other incentives that they have. So I do believe that that's a positive if you know how to do it. Just like SPX, right? How much does Murad and these guys hold of SPX? Is it like 20-30% too, or?
No, I think Murad, he owns like $40 million right now, and it's at a billion, so he owns like 2%, three
Oh,
percent.
okay.
Right.
That's
Um,
yeah.
but I want to touch on what you were saying. Great question about which coin is looking the best right now, or which one would we bet on? I think right now, just generally, what's in a better position? Like, what would I buy just based off where both are? I like Pengu only because it's still, Rec Guy just already hit all time highs, right? I think it's going way higher. Pengu still, what, 75% off all time highs. I think generally I think a lot of these big brands are going to win. I think both brands have great operators. Both are going to win. To kind of answer your question more directly, I would buy Pengu only because, again, still 4x off the all time highs. Probably has more meat on the bone, like more upside to go. But I'm bullish on both of these. I think it's going to be and not or. And yeah, I have a bit. I wish I would have bought more wrecked when it was as low as it was. I bought a bit, but I'm just bullish as hell on both of them. Again, just because they have great operators behind them. But yeah, as far as supply control, I agree with Gambler. When it comes to meme coins with anonymous devs, especially when the coin came out last week, or a couple weeks ago. I think it is a red flag to have the supply concentrated in a you know one or two wallets, or even 10. And I'm super bullish when a coin has good supply distribution, but I do think you have to look at a coin like Pengu a bit different. You have an operator like Luca he's a public figure, right? However many years in the game, as the operator behind Pudgy. I think they're on track for $80 million in revenue this year. And what they're trying to build is an actual IRL brand with all these different things. So I think it makes more sense for a brand like Pangu or Rect to have that bullish supply control. And just like Gambler, I'm super bullish on supply control when it comes to proven founders that are public and they're not just an anonymous meme coin dev, right? Same reason I'm super bullish on VFriends. For example, Gary V owns 10% of the whole VF1 supply. Like I'm super bullish on that because I know he's an operator. He's trying to build this thing long term. He's not buying them to flip them tomorrow. So whenever uh you know good operators have supply control, I'm pretty bullish on it. So I think both of these coins are going way higher over time. Um,
Yeah, right. And to your point, I mean, when you have that anonymous dev, usually their most their least malicious goal by hoarding supply is to manipulate the price, and their most malicious goal is just to rug, right? Whereas when you have a solid operator and team behind it, their goal is often not to manipulate price. Their goal is to market and to push the IP further. But it does have a side effect of not manipulating the price, but stimulating the price in general. So uh, multiple advantages to having a solid operator control a healthy amount of supply.
Yeah.
That it is just not even comparable to like where this random dev is hoarding supply because he wants to manipulate price up to a billion, which you can do. But again, it's a completely apples to oranges.
100%. For look, I just muted your mic because there was feedback, but
No, I was going to say that there's a few interesting metas coming up and trends I've seen since the last, I guess the last correction we had in the market, right, in the first 3 months of the year is the recovery of memes, particularly strong communities and memes related to, memes that were already kind of like here before the AI trend. Those have recovered much better than AI. I mean, we used to cover AI. I don't know if you remember, Brent, but we used to cover AI every other day uh, with your colleague and a bunch of other guys here. And the truth is that those have not really come back as strong as what I call the not the cute memes, but the actual die-hard community memes, which is one trend that I've been noticing. Then the other one is the I guess the trend back to utility or revenue generating companies. Like if you see whether it's a meme coin or a token, those that have performed the best are the ones that are actually some sort of like utility or revenue generating related projects. Have you guys noticed that as well, or do you think it's just a coincidence, or perhaps just a shift in the market towards kind of like more, as you mentioned, Brand, operators that are actually delivering versus just speculation like AI?
yeah, I think as the world, and we've learned a lot about this from Max. I think that as the world of traditional finance kind of converges with crypto, you're going to see a lot of the way that people value these coins, especially the non meme coins, in ways that they do with stocks, right? With revenue generation, and there's a lot of debate right now that whether Ethereum, like ETH, should be looked at as like a revenue generating asset, or should it be a store of value or whatever. But I think a lot of people are going to start to look at a lot of these coins as how much revenue the platform or whatever is generating, and a lot of capital is going to flow into to those ones, right? So yeah, 100%. I think we're going to start to see a lot of the it's pretty much going to be these coins are going to go up Rect Guy, Pengu, from here on whether the operators like execute with the businesses behind them, right? So yeah, I think a lot of it is going to be like revenue generating companies are going to do really well. So that's a great point. What's your thoughts on the current market state? I think we see a slightly dip on the weekend. The weekends are always a mystery, man. Usually, more often than not, you get some kind of chop over the weekend, um, which I think would be extremely bullish if we were to consolidate for a few days here. Consolidation, whether it's on the higher time frames, lower time frames, are always a good sign that the something's slowing down and could potentially reverse. So for that to happen, if we were to get a few days of consolidation here above like 101, going into the weekend, something like this here, I would be super. I think that would be even more bullish. But yeah, to answer your question, I think we're coming towards the end of a correction, and Bitcoin makes its next leg up here soon.
Yeah, weekends tend to be more liquid, right? There's less people trading, and then if you factor in that we're just seeing more and more headlines of escalation in between Iran and Israel, I foresee. I don't want to make any predictions. I'm not giving any financial advice, but I foresee crypto to trade and trend lower this weekend. That will be my bet. Now, if things get better over the weekend, maybe next week we have a great rebound, but I wouldn't be super bullish or taking long leverage here over the weekend. I think it's better to kind of like stay on the sidelines, have cash ready for the opportunity to buy, but not be overly rushed in your decisions, because I don't like how this weekend is playing out, starting to play out from my perspective.
Yeah, I think we could also see a reversal. Not necessarily if there's some kind of peace, but if there's just no more turmoil. Has there been any talks of like retaliation yet, or is that?
Yeah. We're seeing headlines in the last 10-15 minutes of Israel or Iran retaliating back. Or I don't know if you guys are on X, but I can find the actual source.
Yeah,
And
and for sure. Yeah, and I'm not saying go crazy levered long right now, but I would say if we do consolidate over the weekend, I do think there's a good chance that we reverse probably before 100K. But obviously, anything could happen. You want to right now. I think it's just about surviving or just staying in the game before this inevitable move up. So, 100%. The Pengu Group needs to remarket the Lithuania announcement. Yeah, you see a lot of these projects like partner with airlines in the past, and I'm not saying that's not cool, and there's not some great discounts or anything there. I just don't know how much that's going to move the needle, even if we were in good conditions. With that being said, though, I think it's just another sign that the Pengu team, Pudgy Penguin team, is just making a lot of connections and partnerships and shit. The thing is, solid meme coins with good cult communities not get attention. People like to gamble. Yeah. I think during times of jawbone, during when conditions are good, the good shit's gonna run. It's hard to judge during a time the last 6 months where conditions are just not great. Bitcoin has been down for the most part. During good conditions, the good stuff's gonna run. So I would just zoom out and the good cult meme coins, like you're saying, you're already seeing SPX go up. I think the other good ones are gonna follow suit here soon. What do you think about our Aura Farm Pump? Yeah, that was another one that we have been another thing that happened this week. Aura went absolutely fucking nuts.
I think Aura Farm is a different one though, Brent.
Yeah, Aura Farm. I'll probably also went crazy. We can look at that. But Aura um, got listed what on Binance, right?
It got listed. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I did see that. Yeah, it went up to like 200 million.
yeah. I went from 1 million to about 154, which is about 100x in like 3 or 4 days here. So shout out to anybody who held that down. This reminds me right here of the GME move, like pretty much exactly on GME on Sol. One that actually might it's probably my number like one biggest like meme coin win, at least in like a shorter period of time. I remember kind of the same exact setup here. Let me go to the higher time frames. This was last year, right? GME on Sol came down. I remember it made the big run up, and I was thinking, okay, a lot of these meme coins, they always have like an initial washout, and then usually have a second run. But it came down. I was starting to buy down here. It came all the way down about 90%, and then all of a sudden, Roaring Kitty came back, and started announced like those huge option buys for GME, and then it proceeded to like, well, what was this, 40x in a matter of a few weeks. Not as crazy as this Aura one is, 100x, in a day. I think somebody asked me in the DMs, do I think this is a sign of a bull run? Yeah, I mean, I think you see a lot of these kind of crazy things start at the beginning of a bullish period. I mean, what do you guys make of this? Do you guys own any Aura or no?
I don't know. Call me sideline, which I am, or just a cynic, but I don't know that this is necessarily a sign of a bull run. I think we're definitely in a bull run. I don't know that this is a sign of that. This feels more like a insider coordinated pump than anything else to me.
Yeah, for sure. You see these a lot surrounding like the Binance listings. Um, and it was kind of like one of those AI ones. I forgot which one, a couple months ago, where it was like at a million. Um, Too many people weren't talking about it recently, and then they get the listing and it just goes
Well,
nuts.
Peanut too. This happened with Peanut, and I think Moodang, if I'm not mistaken, but it definitely happened with Peanut, where Peanut ran to like 100 million initially off the news, and then somewhat died, and then random Binance listing made it run to like I think over, definitely at least a billion. I think it was like 1.5, possibly two.
Yeah, it
Um,
almost got to two, actually, to 2 billion.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of like, look, if we thought that crime season was here, I think like crime season now is even more. And when it comes to Binance, there's really, you never know. I'm not going to touch this token, but I know that they organize these things well in advance, right? So it's one of those things that you just have to, I guess, two things: either you pray that you had that token before, or that you are in the small circle with those guys, because they definitely know how to manipulate markets real quick.
yeah. Because even catching, I think I saw this in a chat at like 20 or 30 million, and it just looked so unnatural. I was like, I'm not touching this, and it still had X's, multiple X's to go up to 180 or so. So that would have been a, 6x or whatever. So, but it
Yeah,
just,
once it's in price discovery like that, like you were saying, like it's just impossible to tell whether it's going to stop at 50 or
yeah,
150. If you're not already in it, it's like it's just literally straight guessing game.
yeah.
Somebody asked, "What are your opinions about the OG meta? You think it will last longer?" I would be careful to not mistaken like what's happening with SPX and a lot of these coins popping off again as the quote like a meta. I think we saw the same thing happen in August of last year or summer of last year when everything exploded. I don't see this as a meta. I think again, these great coins with good supply distributions, like great communities, they're going to run every time conditions are good, right? So I would not mistaken this as a meta. I think it's going to continue as long as Bitcoin and ETH conditions are great, right? Like if Bitcoin and ETH start to go on a run and see price discovery, you're going to see SPX, Giga, Mog, all Fartcoin, Fwog, like all the great coins going to run, and it's not going to stop as long as like Bitcoin conditions are good. So Wonka, I don't think this is a meta. I think the great coins are going to run when conditions are good, and they'll continue to run. And I don't see it stopping. And this just happens every time we come out of corrections. Are we going to see an NFT run too? Yeah, I think so. We can go over that in a bit, but yeah, I think we're going to see. Somebody asked earlier about a lot of something about OpenSea and a lot more buys coming in, and is that a sign of a bull market? Yeah, we're seeing like Rotes, one of our guys on here, went over a few weeks ago. You're seeing a lot of metrics starting to come in from like past NFT bull runs, starting to heat up, and new buys, new wallets, all that good stuff. So yeah, I do think we're going to see another NFT run. Does it happen, at the same time immediately? Does it take 6 months? Who knows? But um, asking about Housecoin, for Loco, did you buy any house coin during the craze a few weeks ago?
No, man, I didn't buy House Coin. I didn't buy Launch Coin. I didn't buy any of those tokens. To be honest, I don't even know who's behind them. So I've been kind of like cautious about meme coins. I think ever since the AI collapse happened, I haven't really talked bought any meme coins aside from Varcoin. And then I'm just thinking of if I should buy again either Rect or I know Popcat is surviving, but I'm not super excited about meme coins just yet. I know the season will come at some point, but I have a thesis that whether Bitcoin goes up or down, that doesn't really correlate to previous cycles when it comes to altcoin season. So I'm being
Yeah.
very mindful about whatever happens to Bitcoin. You cannot try to find a way to correlate that or make a thesis around therefore it's a cool down on Bitcoin price, we should have an all season, or Bitcoin's at all-time highs, then that means that people are going to start to rotate to altcoins. I just don't really think that's going to happen anymore. And I could see, or at least I can foresee, many years of Bitcoin going up in price steadily, like a traditional finance asset. Whereas we have all these volatile altcoin seasons, whether it's memes or DeFi or RWA, that are going to be much more difficult to predict. So I guess to your point, no, I have not. I have not bought any of those tokens. I'm being cautious about meme coins currently.
Right on. Yeah, no, great points. I think we just really got to look at Bitcoin the last few years. Like, it depends what you consider an alt, right? If you mean like the old, L1s and a lot of the stuff that came out, that hasn't moved in years. Fair enough. I think it comes down to the fact that the reason why a lot of these older alts haven't run is because we haven't had a huge influx of like normies or like retail capital come in just yet. We
Mhm.
saw it in November, for a slight time, back when the whole chill guy thing was happening. I remember, the Telegram channel, had a huge influx of people, and then all of a sudden Trump coin came out and kind of created a top, at least on meme coins, and even on Bitcoin around that time. But I think there is going to come a time, probably more likely than ever now that we're getting regulatory clarity, all this great stuff happening, that we will get a time where retail kind of an influx of retail capital. And at that time, I do think we'll get the everything season where kind of everything runs at once. But I mean, just generally look at what happened with Bitcoin every time it's come out of these corrections. From 2023, summer of 2023 here, summer of 2024, every single time Bitcoin's seen price discovery, the great memes, like the longer term memes, the ones that actually survive the corrections, always run after that. And of course, this time could be different, but I think there's something to the fact that when Bitcoin goes up, the it just lifts all boats and kind of flows down into the risk curve. Are we going to see like an all out alt season? Again, I think that's going to come down to whether retail kind of inflows in and how long that takes. But generally, I think we're going to see the great meme coins, just like we saw the last three other times, head back up out of this.
Yeah.
And it would be exciting again to see AVAX and a lot of the DeFi coins, Uniswap, go up too. And I generally think that is going to happen. But I think the memes either way are due for a run.
Yeah,
Um,
you're exactly right. I think you nailed it, man. We haven't really seen retail since December. December, early January was the last time we really saw retail involved, and that's when we had a craze on altcoins and meme coins. Ever since, I mean, if you look at every single correction we've had since from Bitcoin, that completely well structured correction, like they look pretty much like they've been pretty much planned for, or they are just like TradFi related market corrections, right? Which they are controlled, they're not extremely volatile, and they are good opportunities to keep buying or take profits, right? And so, I mean, if you look at the Bitcoin chart for the last 2 years, it's pretty much steady up with no major scary moments aside from the war escalations we had last year. But that was more of a chop period than it was an actual complete debacle, right? Like we had in previous cycles. So since retail is not involved in Bitcoin, you can't really make a case where capital from Bitcoin is going to rotate to altcoins, because so far in the last year and a half or so, holders of Bitcoin are mostly institutions, at least new holders, and they haven't really rotated that capital into altcoins. I think the capital goes to Bitcoin, stays in stable coins or crypto, but it doesn't really flow into riskier assets than that. That's my perspective. I don't know you guys see it the same way.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's definitely something to that. But also, I think the 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 capital that's coming in isn't. I don't think that's the capital that has to flow into altcoins. And maybe we just haven't seen that much in general. But when it does happen, I think a lot of it can be a lot of the Bitcoin holders that have been holding for 3, 5, 10 years who also are bullish on altcoins. Like there's a lot of Bitcoin maxis who are never going to sell, but there's also a lot of the crowd who's been around for 3, 5, 10 years who kind of plays in both, who isn't a maxi. They're a Bitcoin whale, but they also, are smart and they play in the altcoin stuff. I think that capital, the capital that's been there for 5 or 10 years, that gets enriched and goes up in dollar value from the institutional capital coming in. I think that's a lot of the time the capital that flows in, right? It doesn't have to be the ETF buyers buying alts. It can just be the other Bitcoin holders that have been in the game for a while, who's gone up, flowing into alts. I hope that makes sense. Um, but yeah, I think generally you're right. I think most of that Bitcoin capital has been stayed in Bitcoin, rightfully so, because we're getting so much institutional stuff. But I think what's going on with stable coins, and then like you brought up earlier, a lot of corporate companies are going to be buying Ethereum with their treasury. I think same kind of thing. Those kind of two things uh, combined are going to push up ETH, probably outperform Bitcoin, in my opinion, at some point. But um, thank you for pinning my questions. Really appreciate it. Yeah, 100%. Always love to get your guys' comments on screen. I want to go ahead and take this time now that we're at the top of the hour. If you guys could please like, retweet, bookmark the stream, so we can get this out to more people. Again, we do these streams twice a week. Friday, like today, at around about 10. Today we started at 10:30 because we had some technical difficulties, but at 10 a.m. PST, and then Tuesday at 1 p.m. PST. We're thinking about combining the show, the times into one time. So if you guys let us know in the comments where you're at, where you're watching in the world, and what would be an ideal time for streaming for you, in your time zone. But also definitely make sure to follow my wonderful co-host here, Gambler, who's been on with us the last few weeks. Had a great few shows. And then for Loco, who's coming back on, been on vacation here for a few weeks. Great to have him back, but definitely follow both of them. Gambler, I know you have streams going on multiple times a week. What should the people be looking out for you? What are your stream schedules, and what else you are going on lately?
Right now I'm pretty focused on this stream. So we'll see what the future looks like right now. Going through a bit of like a reorganization period with a couple other teams I do. But yeah, follow me. I follow back if you're active, and I see, I recognize the username and profile. I love Twitter. I'm chronically online, and then I love tuning in with what you guys have going on. So if you guys are hosting spaces or streams, reach out. I love talking the market. It keeps me, honest, keeps me on my toes, and keeps my finger on the pulse. So, most focused on this stream right now. I might do some, more spontaneous stuff over the coming weeks, or maybe get something a little bit more regular locked in. But for now, I'll be here. And, I've already followed a few of you guys back on the Twitter. So I'd love to see you guys' content on there.
Hell yeah. And for Loco, I know you've been away for a few weeks, but you want to go ahead and tell them a little bit about what you got going on lately, and then what's up with B3L as well.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I've been in crypto for now, I believe, 2 cycles, and I've been pretty much an investor, a builder, and now I'm focusing more on streams with you guys, and really trying to kind of like portray a little bit of what I've experienced in the last few years and cycles here. But other than that, I have what we call a passion project that we started in 2022 called Bridge 3 Labs. You can find it on my bio, but it's a group of investors, builders that we got together around the NFT times in 2021. We wanted to find ways to trade together and find opportunities early in crypto, which is really what we call alpha, right? Whether it's having access early to information or being able to take and make the right decisions without getting scammed or taken advantage by other groups. So yeah, the group is called Bridge Street Labs. We have an NFT that is the one that I'm repping here on my PFP, but there's 1,000 of them trading on Ethereum. And if you buy it, you can kind of like join our community and see what we got going on. But other than that, just happy to be back and stream with you guys.
Hell yeah. And for Loco and them were saying, like, we're gonna be doing these streams no matter the market conditions. He's not on today, but obviously we've been blessed to have Max as well. While the rest of the world was, panicking during this whole, tariff debacle, he was telling us to not only remain calm and ignore the news, but to, back up the truck, and that, a few months ago was really the time to buy. So super stoked we're going to be doing these streams no matter the market conditions, continuing to improve the entertainment value, everything else. So really shout out to you guys, anybody who's on these streams, watching YouTube videos, reading Twitter threads, in the Telegram, different Telegrams, kind of taking this time where most people are checking out and doing other things. Shout out to you guys, because in my crypto journey, I think that's what's got me to where I'm at, is no matter the conditions, up, down, whatever, like I was always obsessed and always loved watching interviews with smart people on YouTube and networking, and just not really stopping no matter the market conditions. And I found the people who, stick with it and keep going, even if hype is low and there's not a lot of meme coin opportunities and all that. That's what will really separate yourself from the crowd, who really just checks back in when everything are up, and FOMOs and stuff like that. So shout out to you guys. Soul says, I believe the Bitcoin maxis are the most bullish players in the game. Yeah, I mean they're among a lot of the biggest diamond handers, like the biggest balls motherfuckers. Like they you see during these times of fear and with the tariffs and stuff, very rarely do you see the Bitcoin maxis really panic. Those guys usually super bullish, a lot really optimistic. A lot of them don't agree with what's going on in the whole altcoin space, but you even see Michael Saylor now. He used to just say Bitcoin only, but now he's starting to talk about digital assets as a whole. I don't really see him buying an ETH, but you see a lot of those kind of people kind of coming around, at least on believing that not everything that's not Bitcoin is not a complete scam. So great point, Soul. Were you going to say
Yeah, we
something?
just hit 700. I was going to say 700, but now we're at 708 total viewers for the stream. So shout out to you guys, everybody in chat. 19 retweets, 33 likes, 1 bookmark, 17 comments. Every single one of those counts and goes a long way.
Let's go.
All you legends in the chat. So shout out to you. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we love you guys for real. Again, just the viewership on overall crypto stuff you're seeing on YouTube videos everywhere always goes down during this time. So Stan, Soul, shout out to Soul, shout out to Stan, shout out to Wonka, Pugsley, Juicy, Charles. Like I see a lot of you guys every single week, and I guarantee you guys are going to be the ones who are actually seeing results. So shout out to all you guys.
Even in a day like today, where we have global conflict escalation between two countries, there's a lot of attention has shifted to that. All of you guys showing up today, we really appreciate it, and we'll probably have to do a giveaway soon too, no, Brent? Perhaps in the next stream next
Yeah,
week?
so I've been doing giveaways like after every stream, just $100 to someone in the chat. But I think next week we should do a bigger one. I agree.
Perfect.
We can talk about it. Maybe combine a few things. But yeah, look up for that next week. We will pick towards the end of the stream here. We'll be on for a while longer. I don't know when for us to get off, but I'll be on here for a while longer, and we'll announce a winner towards the end for this week's. But she said, doesn't matter what time you guys go live, I'm there, AM or PM. You guys give great info. Shout out to you, Juicy. I always see you every week, man. Appreciate you. We're going to see the same run as last year after Iran and Israel contact. Yeah, I think that was kind of around the same time that we bottomed out last year, right, in the summer. So yeah, no, I think we will see much of the same. For Loco reposted this stream. Shout out to For Loco, man.
Of course.
Shout out to all of you brothers, and thanks for the valuable info. Shout out to you, Kareem. One play reposted the stream. Shout out to you. Can't wait for the next week. Love you guys. Love you too, Pugsley. But someone did send me here while we were talking that Iran has started its retaliation against Israel. So I did see some other guys say, Israel's retaliation tonight seems like a mess so far, but who knows? I think this guy's I don't know. But anyway, well, interesting to see what happens with that. Bitcoin not really reacting too much as of now, kind of just chilling. I think a lot of this, really what moves markets always is stuff that comes out of nowhere, a big surprise. I don't think it's much of a surprise to anyone that Iran is going to strike back, right? Now, obviously, if they hit some crazy target and there was a lot of casualties or something, we might see more of a response. What I think what's most likely to happen is I don't know if we even need some peace deal. I think stuff just gonna. I don't think anything crazy necessarily. Maybe something out of nowhere doesn't happen, and the market just kind of chops out and moves higher. What do you think for Loco?
Yeah, look, as long as they keep these targets to like, military facilities or some sort of like non-civilian, is that like downtown Tel Aviv? Are they hitting like civilians or
I don't
facilities?
know, man.
Because that's when I'm more concerned, right? If there's actual all-out war to innocent people and to people that are not pretty much like civilians, then that becomes a much more of a bigger issue. But if they're targeting specific facilities where there's not really people, kind of like I think Israel wanted to target certain facilities, nuclear facilities in Iran, and Iran might have been targeting some other military facilities for Israel. As long as that's the case, I think it's just kind of like trying to test each other. I think we saw this before, and it doesn't really have to escalate. But if they're starting to, target innocent and like people, just civilians, then I don't know how this could end up well. That's my perspective. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, 100%. And from my understanding, again, just from the past few years from seeing this kind of stuff, is that Israel, I think, does a better job of kind of evacuating their citizens. I think a lot of the times the targets that are hit, they are already evacuated hours or days ahead of time. So that very rarely, from my understanding, there's not usually a lot or really any Israel, what's it called, casualties. I think there's usually a few, right? But I think even if they are civilian targets, most of the time they're already evacuated. From what I understand, they have a lot of underground bunkers, less stuff that might not be available to the other side. And I've heard, there's rumors that a lot of times the other side, Hamas, I know that's not it's Iran this time, but Hamas and stuff, they like keep a lot of the people in the building. They're not as buildings are not as good at evacuating. So that's my general understanding. But I mean, that does look like what like a city, right? So I don't know where that's at exactly, but um, I will be here again, boys. Appreciate you. I don't think this target is civilians for now. Iran didn't hit back. Israel just wanted to show its force. Okay, so obviously we have to confirm this, but I'm seeing from the chat that it looks like they're just hitting targets that aren't really civilians, but just kind of showing that they're not completely backing down and that they do have the capability. Um, yeah, I'd have to read up more on this, what's going on, but see if we can see anything else. Um, let me know if you guys are reading anything, but let's see. Let's go latest. It said, in response to a series of overnight Israeli attacks, Iranian president stated that the country would make Israel regret its foolish act. So I don't know yet if there's, but yeah, market's barely responding to it so far. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some chop over the weekend. I think that's what would be the most bullish scenario. Thanks again, guys. It's crazy how we can have made actual money just by following you and studying you. Yeah, I appreciate you, Juicy, for real. Yeah, and if you guys haven't already, obviously follow the Telegram, the Boss Man Calls. Twitter, you'll see me post a lot of them. I've been pretty active lately, but why didn't that work? Yeah, I don't know why it's not pulling up. the Telegram, but Bossman Calls Telegram channel, links in the bio. You'll see, a lot of the stuff I post on Twitter a lot of fun stuff, shorter stuff, but all my in-depth analysis, trade ideas, tips and tricks. I've been doing a chart series video lately where I go over exactly how I see the charts. The three major phases that I break every asset into, and kind of how you can use that to your advantage to be more profitable. So definitely go check out the Telegram for that. And yeah, let's see, Bitcoin barely moving. Don't forget the Instagram posts, some good videos. Yeah, definitely check me out on Instagram. That's also in my bio as well.
I
You guys
saw
have any?
you highlighted. Oh, sorry. Go ahead for Loco.
No, go ahead, brother. I was done.
I thought I heard for Loco, but I was gonna say I saw you highlighted lock-in like a day or two ago, Bren. After we said lock-in like a million times on the last stream, but we didn't actually mention the coin. Um, and it got me thinking about it, but I didn't look at it until I saw you highlighted on the timeline.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, lock in to me, I think so. Lock in to me, looking great here. The SPX is already moving up. What we're going to see on this next run with Bitcoin moving higher is those other cult memes following, especially the Gigas, especially Mog is already starting to move up a bit. But I mean, out of all of these, the Giga SPX Mogs, I think Giga probably looks the nicest here. It's at 222 million, already solidified, already up 2x off the lows. I think I had this box drawn out maybe a month ago, so it's kind of falling right into the box. I think we chop here a bit longer. Bitcoin kind of finishes up its correction, and then we see Giga kind of go up. And I think every single coin on Murad's list, which are just a great group of solid coins anyway, but I think we're really going to see the narrative start to play out on every single one of these coins, maybe minus USA coin, which I think is kind of up in the air. But lock in especially, I really like how yes, it did come down 90%, but as you can see, lock in survived the 90% correction here, and a few times throughout its history. And what I really like is, despite it coming down 90%, it chopped sideways and consolidated here for the past 2 months. And you guys know, anybody who's been in the streams or on the Telegram, I'm super big on consolidation being like a really strong bottom or top signal. If you go and look at every major bottom or top and Bitcoin, stocks, there's almost always a bit of consolidation before reversal. So I really like this 2 months of consolidation. I think generally lock in, if Bitcoin does take off here, I think lock in will likely go back to all-time highs, which is still almost a 10x from here. So crazy to say like that. I think there's a really good chance that it goes back to 10x. But again, you got to look at how little people are talking about these things right now. The consensus is pretty much, meme coins. Who knows? Are they going to go back up? Down 90%. What ends up happening all the time when these coins correct 90% is that there's a bunch of uncertainty, and then by the time they're about 2 or 3x away from the all-time high, that's when everybody kind of jumps back in and does that. So lock in. I'm super bullish on it. Checks all the boxes for me. I would consider looking at it, and whether it's lock in, Fartcoin, Mog, SPX, I would consider looking at this and maybe taking a position on these coins now instead of waiting till things are quote unquote certain. Because by the time things are quote unquote certain, it's going to be back at all time highs, and there's going to be very little upside left. So,
Hey, Brent, when does our bet expire? Is it a June or July? I can't remember.
I don't know. You can look at it, man, but it might have been June. But yeah, no, me and Loco made a bet earlier this year, whether I think in June, whether SPX and Giga were going to be above PopCat.
No. I think it was just Giga. If it's SPX, then definitely you won. But I think it was just Giga, which
I think it was SPX and Giga. We can go and look back, but
okay.
yeah, I think it was SPX and Giga. So I don't know. Either way, SPX hit it. Giga hasn't yet. I think PopCat and Giga are pretty close to each other.
Yeah, around that time.
PopCat being a little bit above, right? So yeah, we can revisit the terms. But either way, yeah.
We can use the bet to start giving away some meme coins to the audience. I'll be fine with that for sure.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan to me. But yeah, I think PopCat a little bit apart from Giga. But exciting to see SPX kind of pull away from the rest of the market here.
Yeah.
700 viewers. Soul reposted the stream. Shout out to you, Soul. Shout out to Charles. Love you guys. 781 viewers. But yeah, quiet time in the market. But usually, these quiet times, it's just the best buying opportunities. So to answer somebody's question, yeah, I think SPX looks really good. I really like Giga, like I said, and then Ticker Bitcoin looks amazing here. One of the ones that overall is pretty quiet as far as like hype, but still just one of the strongest communities. A lot of people have the Sproto Gremlins. Um, it looks very similar to what ETH is looking like right now. So I think if Bitcoin, ETH, Sol recover here, we're going to see Ticker Bitcoin probably rip here. So kind of the biggest three that I've been accumulating now that SPX has already taken off is Giga, Mog, and Ticker Bitcoin. But a lot of Pengu here as well. I think it just looks great. So those three or four are kind of been what I've been focusing on most, and then obviously lock in, like I said. Um, he's hello guys, what's cooking? What's up, Dr. Tom? How you doing, bro? Your opinion on Lofi on Sui? That's a good question. Let's see. Did you have any Lofi for Loco? I thought that you did.
No,
But
I never bought it on Sui. I bought Sui, but I really never explored the Sui meme coins. I still have probably done so, but I know it had a very hot period over, I guess it was December timeframe, November, December timeframe, and then kind of like deflated a little bit. But it's back up now, what it looks like.
yeah, I don't know if you were like a couple weeks ago, like there was a big hack on Sui, the Cetus, which is like the biggest DEX,
Yeah.
got a smart contract hack, and then I think I forgot how much was taken, but a large amount was recovered, and then Sui talked about they were giving a Sui Foundation is giving them a loan, so I think all people who lost money were made whole. To answer whoever's question, I think generally the strong runners on every chain will probably recover, especially with how much mindshare Sui has lately. So I don't know what's going to happen in the very short term. It's the chart looks kind of fucked since this big move down, but I wouldn't be surprised if we chop down a bit more and then move higher to kind of form like this inverse head and shoulders here as well. So generally over like a 6 month period, I think we see Lofi because it's kind of the main runner, the leader on Sui, probably make a recovery here. So I'm holding my Sui, pretty optimistic, but we'll see what happens. It looks like that the Cetus pool is still fucking wrecked though, 147K with a 39 million market cap. What's your view on Abstract Chain? Yeah, so Abstract Chain, I got approved on there a few weeks ago. We're probably going to do a stream on there probably next week. Got to talk to the guys, but Abstract, it's kind of like died down a little bit from its initial hype phase. But I think it comes down to having the great operators be with Luca and everything behind them, the great connections they have. As live streams become bigger, I would be surprised to see Abstract, being right up there with X and a lot of these other platforms as like the top streaming platform. So I'm overall bullish on great operators, like I said. So I think Abstract probably does well, right? It's a newer thing. Kind of the L2 space is a little bit fucked up right now, but I'm bullish on great operators. So I think especially once that initial airdrop for the Abstract comes out and there's that initial washout phase, I think we'll see a lot of growth. What about you, Gambler? What are your thoughts on
Yeah, I like abstract. I think it's providing a lot of ways for people to participate right now without having to invest too much capital, and also just doing the things they're already doing on chain in terms of whether that's trading meme coins, whether that's streaming, whether that's watching streamers, whether that's JPEGs. That's what I understand their goal to be, is to be a general platform for everything crypto for normies. And I think they're doing a good job at working towards that goal. Again, the R&R is low. You can stream on there. You can get some, earn some abstract or earn some Pengu, excuse me. But, farm abstract. You can watch streamers. You can play the games. You can try the meme coins, the JPEGs. Liquidity is low, comparable obviously to Sol or some of these other chains where I mean, probably Sol would be the best example because all the other chains are fighting for liquidity. But I think Abstract is cool. It's Pudgy Penguins. They got the TGE coming up. Luca said what, like Q4, and there's ways to participate in ways in a way that allows you to keep doing what you're already doing on other chains. So if you look at it that way, then the R&R is pretty solid. But if you look at it as, oh, why would I be on Abstract when I could be on Sol? There's a case to be made of like, okay, well, liquidity is an issue, but um, it's so easy to farm too. Like again, it's doing the things that you're already doing. I like JPEG, so I played the Dramelios when they minted a bunch of them, sold a bunch of them, and I'm holding two, and I'm earning Abstract points just holding those two in my wallet, plus the benefits that come from just being a part of that community. In terms of the meme coins, I don't love the meme coins just because of the lack of liquidity. They move slow, which some people like. Some people dig that. So if you can hold and you don't mind, lack of liquidity or sometimes slippage issues, that's definitely an opportunity. But again, I don't think it's to be faded. I think when Abstract TGE comes in Q4 or whenever it does come, Q3, Q4, or maybe early next year, I think it's going to be one of those things where a lot of people are going to be wishing they had played around with it more.
Yeah, and 100%. And I appreciate that breakdown. And I remember Luca talking about how, I think in a recent interview, I saw like a clip. He was talking about how he wants to make Abstract the biggest airdrop ever. So, or something of that nature. But yeah, Pengu was like, I think the number 6 airdrop or something of all time. I'd expect them to do a lot of what they did with Pengu and kind of give it to different communities. But yeah, no, I think Pengu, I think stuff like Abstract and Telegram kind of like what Telegram's doing, kind of integrating, you know, NFTs and tokens directly into the app. And a lot of what Abstract's doing as well, kind of the same kind of thing, is going to be the future, right? I think just integrating blockchain technology and the actual tokens into the app seamlessly. So I think they're super ahead of the game. I think their whole goal is to bring in as much retail capital for people playing games, gambling, doing all that different stuff. So super bullish. They're kind of pioneering that whole thing, and it'll be interesting to see it play out. If Abstract were to have that initial washout I'm talking about, the coin, I'd definitely be a big buyer of it. And I'm just super bullish again on Luca and what he's going to do.
Yeah, and on that note too, I got an update. I've been keeping you guys updated with this Pengu Clash thing, which is the Pudgy Penguins official Telegram native game, which they've been marketing the last few weeks, getting users on the wait list. They have their own Twitter page if you want to check it out. It's Pengu Clash. I think it might be Pengu _Clash or just Pengu Clash. But I got a notice in my TG chat that I'm in, or it's just an announcements chat, that I guess Pengu Clash will be dropping in 5 days. It says 5 days, no more waiting, just clashing. So, keep your expectations at a reasonable level for this. There's over 2 million people signed up, but it is official official Pudgy Penguin. Luca's been pushing it, and I think they could make it fun and hopefully have some opportunity to create other incentives on top of that. So I'm watching this as well.
Could it be that they do like some kind of competition, kind of like they did with what's it called?
Maybe.
I would be surprised. Maybe a big grand prize for like the high score or whatever.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point, Dookie Dash.
What we're seeing though, also. Sorry to interrupt. What did you say?
No, I just said what a time that was, man. Taking me back, Dookie Dash. That was a totally different era. But
did you ever participate on that, Gambler? Like, did you play the game or just the airdrop?
I never did. I never played it. I didn't think I'd have a chance, but I was watching it. I remember that gamer who won. He sold the key for
1.3 million. Yeah.
It was orangey, right?
1.6, yeah, something like that.
No, it wasn't orangey. It was this gamer dude, and he's still
it was
around.
Mongrel.
Yeah.
He sold it to the CEO, the founder of Waste Management or whatever. Like
yeah, that was crazy.
That guy.
But no, what we're seeing though to that point is also I saw the other day Zagabond, which obviously he's the founder of Azuki. Saw a few things on his profile. One that he also is they're doing Azuki is doing some stuff on Telegram as
Mm.
well. It seems like a lot of these big NFT communities or NFT founders and projects are merging with Telegram. Again, I think Telegram's mindshare is only increasing, especially with crypto and what they're doing with pretty much. There's huge tokenization already happening on Telegram. They have these sticker things essentially where you can uh, gift people, but also these collectible. I don't know what they're called exactly, but collectible things, kind of NFTs. And then also, which I thought was the coolest, was you can tokenize your username, right? So, say obviously Telegram's a huge app with millions of people. There's value in having maybe the fucking at name Alex or these short names. So they're actually tokenizing them NFTs in the NFT form and selling them on this marketplace they have. So super cool. I think that's the future. Integrating blockchain technology and these different assets directly into the app. So super bullish to see. Zagabond. He actually created his own Telegram here. I don't know why Telegram's not opening, but he created his own Telegram, and to see the two worlds merging, I'm just super bullish on Telegram. I'd expect a lot more stuff to come from them.
I think Bored Ape Jack Club just also launched a Telegram channel.
Insane. Yeah, I think super bullish on Telegram. I think Twitter super cool for networking and a lot of smart minds on there as well. But Telegram is just becoming bigger for information sharing for sure.
Anyways, boys, I gotta jump. So you guys have a good weekend, and we'll do the same on Tuesday.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Run it back. See you guys.
Later.
Later.
Uh,
Bren, I wanted to ask you, like, what are your thoughts on like the short-term effects as well as like maybe the more mid to long-term effects of the abstract TGE coming later this year in regards to Pengu and abstract?
Dude, that's a great question, man. You'd assume that if we're in the same conditions, and I'm a broken record on this a lot of times that conditions are everything. If right now the conditions are the same, Bitcoin's still chopping out, ETH and Sol are just still chopping, and Abstract comes out, and the coin comes out, I'd expect just like we usually see, a huge extraction thing where a lot of coins sell off and goes into Abstract, especially if it goes up off the rip. But if we are in great conditions, like Bitcoin is ripping, and I think this is a lot of reason maybe why they're waiting. Like they're really smart. I found the smart founders a lot of times will launch when conditions are good, right? So say Abstract launches into a time where crypto is really hot, a lot of activity, a lot of volume on the meme coin side. I could see even if Abstract washed out, that Pengu and the rest of the market could still do really well, right? So I think it's really going to come down to the market conditions. If Pengu were to drop next week, and again, Bitcoin's still just not doing much and everything's chopping, I would expect again a big extraction event where everything kind of falls and Abstract kind of absorbs everything. So I think again, just really kind of depends on the short term. But as far as Abstract itself, I'd expect even if there's good market conditions, that within a few weeks, we're probably going to see some type of sell off, and then that's really where I would someone who I've been doing some of the XP on Abstract, but I don't expect a huge airdrop. So where I would be a big buyer if we got any type of bigger correction over maybe 25-30%.
Yeah, I think it also is like a responsibility on the pudgy slash abstract teams to do a great job differentiating the value, the use case, the utility or lack of utility between both of those coins. Because at least on crypto Twitter, maybe this isn't as much of an issue for normies because they're pushing. I don't know. They're kind of pushing. They're definitely pushing the penguins, though. So what I was gonna say, maybe they push abstract more to the normies, but it's an issue on crypto Twitter right now where people are like, a lot of people think pudgy, Pengu is the main coin. Well, it is the main coin of the pudgy penguins ecosystem, but they also think it's related to abstract. There's a lot of people who think that it's related to abstract when it's technically not, beyond both being under the pudgy penguins IP. So I think the better job that those teams or the overall Pudgy team does at differentiating between what Pengu is for and what Abstract is for, I think the better situation it creates for both coins as well as for holders. If there's any confusion, uh, that could be not great, right? Because then you just have liquidity split, and people don't know why they're holding what they're holding, and they either move on to something else or maybe one of the coins wins out of the other one. So we'll see. I'm interested to see how it plays out because I know right now, at least CT, there's a considerable percentage of people who think that Pengu is directly related to Abstract when it's technically not.
Yeah, 100%, man. Great points. And dude, see, that's why I brought Gambler on the show, man. Just creating so many great conversations, bro. Shout out to you. But I think it really comes down to right now when like there's just fucking 2,000 people on crypto Twitter and
Yeah.
not much stuff is moving. It's like it's really easy to like think in like this kind of lack mindset of like, oh, there's not enough liquidity to go around.
Yeah.
Um, but I think generally in great conditions where everything's going well, like both of these coins will do well, and I think they will do a better job of kind of separating the two. I think Pudgy Penguin ecosystem, the Pengu coin, is going to directly drive that, and I think they really have been making a point to kind of combine the two, and it probably worked out really well for them. But I would imagine as time goes on that they really kind of separate it and do like more marketing for the abstract side because I do think there is abstract is again the chain and where a lot of probably going to power the actual website itself where Pengu does whatever, but I'm sure there will be some kind of integration into both. But that's a great point, and I think them doing a good job of that would help a lot of people see the case for both of them doing well.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
Soul Blast, do you know what XP is being used for an eventual airdrop? Yeah, yeah. So the XP on Abstract, whether you're streaming, whether you're watching streamers, whether you're playing the games, whether you're buying JPEGs, selling JPEGs, buying meme coins, selling meme coins, and there's probably other ways to farm that there's daily tasks and you can earn badges. There's a bunch of ways to farm, but yeah, it's I think 100% confirmed that there's going to be an Abstract airdrop, and we had a quote from Luca say that they're looking at Q4. So these things change. It could be Q1 next year. It could be Q3. They could get delayed, but people are currently actively farming Abstract for that Abstract airdrop, which is not Pengu, but it's
yeah,
all under Pudgy Penguins.
yeah, for sure. Just generally, yeah, that's when they're doing points. They obviously there could be other mechanisms for the airdrop, like could be based on holding other NFTs and other shit. But yeah, generally when they do points, that's usually leads to some type of airdrop. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure it won't be just 100% like points to coin ratio. There'll probably be other things like if you hold a Pudgy Penguin
Yeah.
NFT, you'll probably get more. Or you hold this one, or you did this certain thing. There's other metrics on abstract. I'm sure other than just straight points. So yeah, generally though, higher points should lead to helping your airdrop percentage or airdrop amount. But yeah, what's up, Charles? How you doing, bro? I think we'll stay on here another like 15 minutes. You good with that?
Yeah, that's cool.
Hell yeah. See Bitcoin reacting at all? No, not much. Not
No,
much.
but I think it looks good, man. I mean, us being back at 105 is solid. I wouldn't have been surprised if we hung out in like the low 100s for a bit. I mean, we technically are, but lower. But us being at 105, we're like barely off the all-time high. Like it's chilling.
Yep.
Soul took a hit back. We were talking about Soul up to 160 last stream. I think it might have touched 170 over the weekend or over the days since our last stream. Down to 145. But as you mentioned, the setup looks good. All these the setup, the bullish setup remains intact for these majors, so especially Bitcoin. I mean, and Bitcoin dominance too continues to look like one of the greatest charts in crypto. Um, I'm not gonna call for a reversal because everybody that's been doing that has been just getting wrecked over the past months, literally year plus. So, but I don't know, man. I don't know how much higher it can go. Uh, Seems to just be grinding straight up.
100%, and it could just keep grinding it forever, and there's like a new paradigm of like,
Yeah,
but something like this, if we were to grind up a little bit higher and then consolidate for a few weeks, and that kind of this box could be higher, or a little bit lower, uh, I could see that kind of pullback in Bitcoin dominance, and maybe it doesn't go as low as I have here. Maybe it's just like a slight pullback for 6 months or something. But in that scenario, I could see, usually when Bitcoin dominance is really driven heavily by ETH and Sol. So again, ETH, I really have a really bullish outlook on ETH going forward in the next few years. So I could definitely see this Bitcoin dominance pullback happening, corresponding with like ETH going crazy, and then like alt season that we were talking about. But
yeah, that's a good point. ETH BTC has been looking like it's been starving for a reversal for months. I mean, I think for the better part of a year as well.
yeah, for
And I think a lot of
100%.
ETH holders have been waiting for that reversal as well.
Yeah, we've gotten a like 30% move up in the last month, which is pretty significant. It's actually the biggest bounce we've gotten since you look at this, the top here in 2022. So, I mean, generally, my thesis has been like ETH, the platform, and everything that's going to be on it, especially now that we're seeing literally the biggest institutions talking about putting bonds and stocks and all this shit on chain. I think, overall, ETH, the platform, with everything that's going to be on it, in the next 10 years will be higher than Bitcoin, the store of value, right? Because if the new internet and gaming and digital collectibles and stocks and all this stuff is on chain, and most of it being on Ethereum, I think again that translates to the token itself, which secures the network being way fucking higher, and probably a higher market cap than Bitcoin, right? But who knows how long that takes to play out? Maybe China buys Bitcoin tomorrow, and Bitcoin goes up against ETH for the next 2 years. But yeah, that's generally my thinking.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Um,
Dead. What are we talking about, Charles Wonka? Dead. Charles for sure. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything else from this one from Zagabond too. TradFi and crypto emerging. Soon it'll just be called finance. And
hmm.
yeah, just like I was saying I think a couple weeks ago, like pretty soon, yeah, crypto's about to merge with everything. Like we've been talking about gaming, stocks, bonds. We've been getting a lot of insight from Max, who's huge on the TradFi side. Um, and pretty soon it won't even be called crypto. It'll just be digital finance. So or whatever they end up calling it.
Yeah, there was an interesting chart by Pio of the Bodagos crew, Pio Vincenzo, uh, and he put up a chart. I mean, you might have to. It might be easier if I send it to you. But it
PO
was
is it PIO or no?
Pio Vincenzo. Yeah. Um, but I can also just send it to you because he posts a lot, and it might be hard to find this one specifically. But
Yeah.
he posted a chart. Here, I'll send it. I just DM'd it to you. But the what he posted was essentially highlighting the difference in the structure of Bitcoin over the last what is this? Over the last 3 years or so, um, and it highlights the the reduction in these like super volatile big pumps up and big pumps down, and how in the last 2 or 3 years we've been seeing more of a structured grind upwards. Um, you should see it in your DMs. I can
On
also teach.
Telegram, you said?
Yeah, no, on Twitter. I can
Oh,
send it on TG if that's
yeah, if
easier.
you could send it on Telegram.
Yeah,
Actually, here. If you have it on, yeah, actually, I got you. Let's see. Oh, okay, I see you on Twitter. Okay. All right, share this tab. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, 100%. That's a lot of what I've been saying too. That I think we're in a new era in
hmm
this cycle past other ones. Like just like this chart shows, that Bitcoin in past cycles. If you look at the first one in 2020, it just it went just like up only. Then we got a huge 75% correction. Then even 2020 cycle up only, big 75% correction. But what we're seeing instead of up only this cycle, what we're seeing is big move up, but then a 6 month correction in between. Big move up, 6 month correction in between. Big move up, 6 month in correction in between. More of a chop up, right? And
Hmm.
yes, that's slower gains, but what I think not a lot of people are realizing right now that this will translate to the 4 year cycle where Bitcoin comes down 50 to 75% perfectly on the fourth year. I think that's very likely over. And Bitcoin instead just continues to do what we've seen the last few years, continue to go higher, pull back, continue to go higher, maybe 6 month corrections. It's really scary corrections every 6 months. Kind of what like PO is showing here, right? Where institutional structured bid, where it's more of a continue like up only like the stock market has the last 15
Hmm.
years
Yeah.
instead of these giant hype cycles. So yeah, no, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, as long as I've been here for the last 4 or 5 years, we've always heard of what's the word? Um,
Super
like
cycle.
no, but like reduced gains. What is it? Like
Oh,
that's not
diminishing gains, diminishing returns.
diminishing returns. Yeah, the law of diminishing returns, right? But I still I hadn't really considered what the chart structure would look like. I still kind of considered these volatile moves just like smaller. But to see it laid out that way, especially with all this institutional money coming in, kind of gave me a new perspective on like not it's not just diminishing returns, but it's also a new structure and a new way that liquidity is flowing in and out of the system. And as a result, a new way that liquidity is flowing in and out of the whole entire crypto ecosystem, whether it be JPEGs or meme coins or traditional altcoins or other majors, whatever it may be. So interesting to see.
Yeah, 100%. Wonka says, don't know why it's filtering Harambe. I don't know if you mean in the comments. If so, that's weird. But Harambe, yeah, Harambe got crushed with everything else this last few months, but it's already starting to move up. I still think there's a really good chance that Harambe, again, one of the most famous memes of all time, and people who like generally love this meme, like it's kind of timeless. And then this coin has been around for a few years. Yes, it's been around 90% down, but I still see a lot of people talking about it. I still think there's a great chance, especially after 2 months of consolidation here, that it shifts back to the upside. And if it does close above 0.012 and above this big consolidation, I think there's a really good chance that it makes a run back to these highs and could go much higher. So I'm holding all of my Harambe. I'm a big holder of that, and I have been adding slowly here. Um, so I think this is really actually a big sleeper and not one I would be selling, at least down at these levels. So this is one we'll keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, Harambe is one I haven't heard in a while, but it just refuses to quit. I mean, it is one of the most OG memes in the space, and you still hear people comparing things to Harambe too. I remember when Peanut dropped, everybody was like, "Oh, this is the new Harambe." Um, so when you hear that, it definitely gives you more confidence in like whatever it is that they're comparing. They're saying is the alpha. It's like I tend to kind of listen, and instead of picking up the beta, I get interested in the alpha, which is Harambe in this case. So I wouldn't bet against Harambe, especially not at these levels.
Yeah, yeah, no, great point. And I think what was I going to say? What was I going to say? No, what happens during these cycles when the normies come around? Like I just remember in past years, like just these ridiculous coins that everybody was counting out, just make going on a huge run because some guy on TikTok or Instagram at the time, whatever, like made a video about it. And I think it's a really the Harambe thing's like not only it's just really easy narrative for people to understand and hop onto. And I could see just normies just really riding it back up, especially when they start getting into meme coins. They're going to say,
Yeah.
"Oh, what's one of the most famous memes of all time?" And I could see viral content going out that kind of pushes this narrative out and pushes Harambe up. I mean, it's at 3 million market cap right now. Wouldn't take much money to bring this up to 10, 50, 20, 50 million.
I've been
Um,
seeing Joe on the timeline more lately too. Ever since we talked about it, I don't know if it's just because I have it at top of mind since we brought it up on the show. And then I saw a couple people talking about Keykek as well. So some chatter going on, at least on my timeline, of like these OG ETH coins coming back, making a resurgence.
Yeah, for sure, Joe. Let's see. I haven't looked at it in a few days, but coming out of a beautiful setup we highlighted last week from Mr. Yellow, who put out a cool clip on that. And I think I was talking to my producer here. We're probably going to do something for you guys, for people who are clipping the streams. Maybe a bit of an incentive for you guys for sharing the streams. We always appreciate that. Mr. Yellow put out a cool clip from our last stream on where we were talking about Joe right
Mm.
here. Shout out to him. Where was that? No, that wasn't this. Right here. So shout out to Mr. Yellow. But yeah, I think Joe looks nice here. It actually moved up since the last stream. Higher about what 2x off all time highs. So I think it's a good chance, especially if the majors bottom out here, that Joe continues to move higher. Only at 30 million. I could see this one easily in the hundreds of millions with conditions good. So I bought a bit down here, and I'm holding for higher levels. Not serious.
Yeah.
Some details on Zeus on Ease. Then you keep it capable of flipping Pepe. Do I think Zeus is capable of flipping Pepe? I think anything's possible, but I don't know why that would really make sense for Zeus, which is Pepe's dog, to flip Pepe, which has been out for 4 or 5 years, man. So I wouldn't. Wouldn't count on that narrative.
Well, the only coin we've seen flip Pepe so far has been Trump.
Yeah.
We saw the Trump meme briefly flipped it, and that ended up marking the top of meme coins, at least locally.
Yeah, and that's another topic I think we should touch on next stream when we have more time. But SPX 6900 passing bonk this week, sitting right below Trump, kind of 50% below Trump. But I think that's the next one on the list. And in Pepe, I think what we're going to end up seeing here is very good chance that, again, especially if Elon starts pushing Doge or Doge becomes heavy, it might make it a little harder. But Pepe still about 5x off of Doge. I think there's a few coins that have a chance at getting up there with the Doge level, with Doge, because of their strong communities, good memetics, all that. And I think that's Pepe, obviously, SPX, Mog, and then maybe like Giga. Who knows? Fartcoin could do it as well. But yeah, I think there's going to be a few coins that definitely rival Pepe, and probably get up there with Doge and Shiba. Who knows? Maybe it's fucking Trump coin again. Maybe, Max theorized that Trump coin probably will do well if everything that Trump and his administration in crypto, if everything they're doing goes well. I think there's a strong narrative for the Trump coin, especially if they start doing activations and all that different kind of stuff, where the Trump coin could maybe even make it up there with Doge. So I think we should talk about this topic more when we have more time this week, but it's super interesting. I think there's a few coins, and we could really see the top 5 to 10 meme coin list really get shaken up here over the next few years.
Yeah, I agree. It would be fun to talk about that next stream.
Bentley reposted the stream. Shout out to you, Bentley. Bullish on nukes. Yeah, that's crazy. It's gonna be Mask. Yeah, let's look at Mask real quick before we get off. Mask has been it's been performing decently. I think it made a run earlier this week. Coming down here, it's just tough with these newer coins. I would like to see this probably chop out for a while here, but I wouldn't be surprised if. Thanks. Oh man, I don't know what happened to my screen. Hold on. But yeah, I would like to see Mask probably come down a little bit more here and then chop sideways for a week or two before moving higher. But just based on what we're seeing so far, I wouldn't be surprised to see this move down to this low here around 0.01.
Oh, this is that cat with mask thing?
Yeah.
Oh, when people have been saying mask, I should have known. I thought they were talking about like an upcoming like MetaMask airdrop.
Okay. Yeah. That's the mask that everybody's been waiting for fucking years.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's funny as fuck. Yeah, no, this is Mask. I didn't really realize it was Cat with Mask. I've been seeing Mask around, but yeah, no, I haven't really been looking at this coin too much either. But Yeah, just based on the what it's looking like and past corrections I've seen, I could see kind of similar to how Harambe did. Mask maybe come back down to 50% lower, but we'll see. Mask has potential to run 30K holders. We are ready for sure. Following your Instagram account. Appreciate you. Opinions on your mom. Uh, Another one, damn brother. Your mom
I heard
on
it.
your
That
mom
was
on
funny.
Pulse Chain. God damn, brother, you're trading Pulse Chain memes. Um, Jeez, bro. Shout out to whoever. I mean, if you bought it down here, you're a what is that? I don't even know. 3x. What is that? Yeah, like 2x. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't really traded any point coins on Pulse. I assume the liquidity is probably pretty low. But yeah, I would be generally if you got in down here, I'd be taking a bit of profits and just hope it goes higher. Keep taking profits on the way up, and ideally enter. Take profits before another one of these corrections happens. So I don't know anything about this or really Pulse memes at all, but I hope you continue to do well on this, bro. What do you think about WW3 coin? Jeez. World War Three. I assume this is the one. Okay, so this one's been out for months. Wow. It's been up since April here. Yeah, this is another one of these deep corrections, but it does have this channel like structure. It's obviously already broke out of it. And usually when it does close above the prior bounce high, which would be like right here, it probably heads back towards the all-time highs. So, hopefully this isn't fueled by some actual World War III talks, but the chart generally this looks pretty bullish since it's closed past this prior bounce high. Oh, there's your mom on Sol too. I'm sure there is. You'll remember
Your mom
this
is
vid,
everywhere.
but Mask saving the trenches. Fuck yeah, bro! I hope it goes to 100 mil for you. 1 billion. But yeah, with that being said, I appreciate you guys. We will be back on Tuesday. I do think, again, keep an eye on Bitcoin, ESOL. Generally, whether even if we do come down again, they do a retaliation that, God forbid, like was actually damaging and took human lives or something. Who knows? Maybe it does come down. But generally, this is the time to load up. If you have dry powder, not financial advice, but just in my experience, loading up and accumulating the great coins, because there's going to come a time, like I said yesterday here, that there isn't going to be a catastrophe every week. And instead, momentum is strong both on events and price and all that. That I think these negative events that are happening, there's going to come a time where it's just mostly positive, and you want to be invested and holding the good coins during that good momentum. And I do think that's coming here soon. So, not financial advice, but I would use this time, which likely could be one of a final time to buy uh, the great coins you have conviction in. So with that, doesn't matter if we're down, up, fucking sideways. We will be back on Tuesday with another stream. If you guys have any suggestions, anything you want to see, any coins, topics you want us to talk about, feel free to DM me on either X or Telegram. Shoot a follow to my boy Gambler for Loco. Everybody else is on here. And anything else before we leave, Gambler?
No, man. DCA your conviction bags. Don't get washed out, and we'll be back on Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in.
Hell yeah. Follow the panel. Make sure you check out the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday.